a little bit closer, step or two.
Okay, how long do I have to stand here?
2 hours and 12 minutes. And as soon as your wife quits giggling, we're going to say, oh my goodness, what a chilly day today.
Well, it is. And what month is it, Mary?
It is November.
Yeah.
No, we've got to have her, and she has a fan base.
Yes.
We have
following.
We have Larry as our cameraman. We have Zip as our pocket entertainment.
Yes.
Just as we're getting to go where?
We are going to go back up to Hawkenson Valley, and we're going to find that schoolhouse that we couldn't find this summer.
Okay, do you have your long johns on, Nancy?
I am prepared.
I am prepared as well, and we are going to get ready and go see if we can find ourselves a schoolhouse on History Files.
Well, here we are up in Chimney Rock, Mary, and we're just past the Lutheran Church. And when we were back up here in August, do you remember what a hot day that was?
Oh, it was hot and sticky and miserable.
It was terrible.
And this beautiful, beautiful little wetland was full of ducks and ducklings and a few geese. It was beautiful.
And today we have ice.
A little bit of rolling water, but a lot of ice.
Yeah, I don't see any waterfall today.
No, but on my way over to you, I did see a flock of cranes.
Really?
Sandhill cranes.
Really?
Flying in the wind, because you could hear them.
Oh, yeah, they're noisy, aren't they? Yeah.
It was really, really cool.
Well, I hope the wind was at their back wherever they were going, because it was not pleasant this afternoon and this morning working in that wind.
No, it was not.
No. All right. Well, I guess we're giving up on the waterfall here anyway.
But we'll take a beautiful look. Peaceful wetland. Getting ready for winter. And now, Nancy, where are we headed?
Well, the last time we were up here, when we came up to Hawkenson Valley, on that hot day, we were looking for the remnants of the old Hawkenson school up there. And as you may remember, I was not ready because I had on shorts, and when I got out of the car to look around, there was all kinds of stinging nettle.
Oh, it was full of tall grass.
Yeah, and I was not going to be running through those stinging nettle in my shorts. So I think you had sandals on.
I did.
So we said, that's okay. We'll just come back after the leaves are off the trees. And they certainly are now.
Well, we did make a valiant attempt to peer through really the pretty dense vegetation. Now, you had recollection that you had been up there when there was still remnants. Not that terribly long ago.
I'm sure there's still remnants. I think it was just there was too many leaves and too many green things, and we just couldn't see it. But today I'm sure we'll find it. And it's just kind of interesting. We're going to go up here. We're on Highway 93 north of Independence, and we're going to take a left on County Y, and we're going to go back up Hawkenson Valley. And right now it's spelled Hawkenson like hawk, Hawkson, but the original name was the Norwegian spelling where it's Haakon. I think they pronounce it the same way.
A instead of the AU?
Right, it was AA, and that was how they spelled Hawken. I think they said it that way anyway. But this was pretty much settled by Norwegians.
Well, and in our travels, Nancy, we sure have found out different names of different valleys and roads that have actually even changed throughout history.
Well, yes, and what was really interesting about Chimney Rock and some of these valleys, and like Hawkenson, was how it has changed over the years. This was actually one of the last places, the last parts of Trempealeau County that was settled. And it's hilly, and it can be pretty wet in a lot of places. So I think for a lot of people, it just was not desirable farmland. But if you were a Norwegian and you were hungry for a farm and you would come off maybe 1 or 2 acres in Norway on the side of a mountain, that this probably looked pretty good.
Oh, I could imagine. And it's beautiful, and they must have drained a lot of the wetlands. And, you know, there's quite a bit of, what do they call that, state land out in the township of Chimney Rock.
And especially up here in the middle of the valley, there is DNR hunting land. And it makes sense. As farming progressed, where people weren't using horses anymore, and they were using machinery that got progressively heavier, I'm sure that it was pretty hard to get into some of those wetter fields.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And tractors get stuck.
Yes, they do.
And they're hard to get out.
Yes, and horses do too, and machinery, so it just probably was never really prime farmland. I mean, it's still a lot of farms up here, but not like there was, and the farms, I'm sure, were much smaller, but they had enough families to support their own schoolhouse, their own little school district.
Well, and you know, this valley is quite an extensive grassland.
Yes, it is.
Between the restored wetlands and the grasslands, and it's a great filter, because this part of the Elk Creek watershed is huge. There's a lot of acres that drain down through here, and having all these wetlands helps keep the water clean.
So we're going to be looking, because this should be up here on the right. So now all should be revealed, because we don't have all those leaves and trees, and so I think it's up here around the corner, or is it? Oh, it's right here.
It is right here, Nancy.
Ah, we
Look
found
at that.
it.
It was in plain sight.
Okay, well, let's
break film.
Let's hoof it over there.
Get our hats on. We found it.
Yay! What a day, Mary.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Isn't this a beautiful day? Well, you know what? We got to toughen up, because winter's coming. So let's see how we can get back in there. I think we can here.
I'm going to click a few B-roll shots.
Well, so far, so good. I haven't fallen in a ditch yet. But the remnants of Hawkenson School. Yes, yes. I think there's an easier way out of here. I think if we go back, we can go around that way.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, so far so good. I did not fall in a ditch, and here we are, and here is the remnants of Hawkenson School. And if I recall from our other program, I think it closed like the late 1940s, the early 1950s. And when you look at the picture of it that I have, well, I think that was taken in the late 30s or early 40s. There's no trees in the picture. On a plain almost. There's just nothing around it. But now you get close to it, you can see here was the foundation. I don't think they had a basement. And I don't think it was huge by any means. But it must have been the front door over here, maybe, where I'm standing. And I'm not sure, Mary, what do you think this metal thing was?
Probably a vent or a chimney.
Yeah, I'm thinking a vent, maybe.
This looks, Nancy, like an entryway.
That could be. You know, I don't have that picture with me so that we could hold up and compare. Yeah, this probably,
Got kind of like this corner.
well, maybe it was the entry then. Yeah.
And then we've got
Now don't fall, Mary. Don't get,
this in here.
okay.
And so this.
Yeah, I bet that was the entry right here.
So that would have walked us up to the inside.
Yep.
And
Kids
then we'll-
came in here, hung up their clothes, and
Yep. And then back over here we can see a boarded up window. I'm sure this tree, it'd be interesting to cut this tree down and see how old it is. Right?
you wonder, maybe it was here before, but it was much smaller, perhaps.
Because it's grown right
Yeah,
to the foundation.
I don't think it was there. That would have been awfully hard to build a tree that close.
And it must have been reinforced at one time because there's block.
Yeah, concrete block.
And down below that you can see all kinds of other stuff. So now we would be coming around the left side?
Well, this would probably be like the north side, I'm thinking.
North side.
I think.
Well, left.
Yeah, now don't step on any old nails. That's all we need. But, you know, it wasn't a tiny little school.
No.
You
And
can
there-
still see.
Back here you can see that there was sandstone.
Yep.
So I wonder if that vestibule was added because that vestibule was blocked or maybe reinforced.
Yeah. And now look at what was the roof. It looks like there was wooden shakes on there at one time. And then they put the, you know, the regular shingles on it. But doesn't that look like wooden shakes?
Oh, those are wooden shakes.
Yeah.
And they're probably cedar.
Probably handmade too.
Yes,
Yep.
definitely.
Yep. Because the cedar takes a long time to rot. Now I really can't see anything in there, you know, the remnants of anything. Not like desks or... But usually when they close these schools, they sold out the contents.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like it's sitting here on a piece of land that was right at the bottom of, of a wash, yeah, a waterway. But back then, you know, if they could get somebody to donate the land for the school or sell it at a reasonable price, that was kind of what determined where it went.
Well, and if you needed a school, you needed a school. and
That's
you found a
right.
piece of land
Yeah.
that was no longer being utilized.
Yep, here's the back of the school. You see everything just kind of went that way. So there it is. And we maybe we would have been able to found it last summer, but with all that greenery and all that stinging nettle, it would have been really difficult. Now we're not certain if we're on part of the hunting land right here or not. There's a sign right over there, so if we're not right on the hunting land, we're really close anyway.
To the state.
Right, the state hunting land. So this one is, what do they call this building? It's a going away building.
Yes.
Yep, kind of returning to nature, I guess. But at one time, I can imagine this time of year, they would have had the wood stove going when the pupils got to school. Or maybe they had a furnace, but it was probably wood, I would imagine. So, a little bit of history from Hawkenson Valley. We found it. You know what you don't see a lot of in these old schools? Insulation. I'll bet it got a little chilly at times. Well, I suppose this around here, this is probably the playground. There's a big old maple tree. Oh, look at this tree, Mary. It is covered with some kind of fungi. Isn't that cool? Who knows, maybe it's edible, huh?
Nature's art.
Isn't that something? I just think this time of year when there's all this fantastic fungus out there, it's really interesting. Unfortunately, I don't know very much about it, but it is interesting. Now, on other schools, I know when they closed for good, they still, sometimes the building would get sold for a house, or it got picked up and moved somewhere. Maybe it became a corn crib or a granary. And sometimes they left it and they used it for, well, like 4-H meetings or different various clubs and things like that as a meeting place. And or perhaps they reverted to the original owner and they had no use for it, so they just left it, and this is what it became. But we found it. Yeah, that's what I kind of followed in.
Okay, this looks like a good place to go morel hunting.
You think so?
Dying elms, look at.
Yeah, that could be.
Okay, one more.
Your way out of here. Look at the size of some of these big old maple trees out here. They're huge. That it was kind of right at the base of a ravine that looks like it would have had water coming down. It was in a pretty sheltered place anyway, kind of down here in between the hills. So that location was good anyway. That way. All right. It makes you wonder, they had enough children in the neighborhood to support a school. And nowadays I wondered if you had a school here again, how many pupils you'd actually have. Probably not too many.
You ready to head out the woods?
Yeah, let's go over here by, I think it's an easier way out. There's a fence here, so don't get caught in some old wire. But look at this beautiful old tree that has collapsed. Just full of moss, hollow. Wonder how many raccoons are in there.
Let's just hope it's not a bear.
Yeah. Well, it's cold. They're probably kind of sleeping today. But I just love these old logs that go down there and just slowly kind of return into nature again. Much easier way to get out of here, Mary. I guess we were just so excited about finding it that we just took off and rammed through the brush, huh? But now we're not certain if this is, over there is DNR land or not. But like we say, if not, it's pretty close anyway. We'll be back to the car, and thankfully no fleet of semis were passing by while we were in there. Okay, state wildlife area. Okay, but we did see that wire there that we stepped over, so maybe that was an old, property line.
Old line fence.
It wasn't. I said it was much easier this time, wasn't it? Because I think the time before I'd parked here, and gosh, if I would have stepped into that hole there and all the nettles, that would have been it. I probably would have still been in there.
Over.
Yeah. Hard to see when there's a lot of tall grass. So I guess the thing that our takeaway here is how much things have changed in our countryside over 50, 60, 70 years. An area where there used to be quite a few farms, and probably small ones by today's standards, that supported families. But today there's really only a few farms back here, and it's just really changed. It's kind of sad in a way, but in a way maybe this land around here wasn't optimum for farming, and
certainly not for corn and soybeans.
no. And so now it's kind of become home again to wildlife, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, they need spaces too.
They do. They do.
This Zimmerman Lane.
Yeah.
One of my grandfather's sisters was a Zimmerman, married a Zimmerman.
Oh yeah? And live back there?
Yeah.
Now, Mary and I just came up County Highway Double V, as in victory, and we were talking about how things have changed and not so many farms. And here's kind of a good example. There was this old farmstead right here with this house, and just like the school that we were just at, you can see that it's seen better days. But I'm sure that in the days when it was newer and people were living in it, I bet it was a beautiful place.
Definitely.
Yeah. See where the old porch was, and I think
That was probably a sitting room.
it could be that was like the living room, the kitchen, the old farmhouses. So there was even the date for this house. Was it 1897?
Yes, 1897.
When it was brand new, and I'm sure that people that had it were so proud and so happy of their beautiful new house. So it's always kind of sad when you see something like this that just kind of becomes derelict.
Yeah, and you wonder how many families were raised, how many babies were born,
Right.
how many parents passed, grandparents.
Yes.
You know, you wonder about the whole entire history.
And then there's the barn, which was over here on ahead of us here.
Well,
It was a good-sized barn.
and that's a pretty good size house.
Yes, it was.
Okay, now we're going to kind of swing over towards the barn. And that's had a drive-in, looks like maybe a drive-in hay barn.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Kind of cut into the side of the hill.
Yeah, and that barn was refurbished because it's got poured walls on it, Nancy.
Yeah, it does.
So I betcha the old barn was probably right back here behind the house.
Way back up behind the house.
Closer
yeah.
to the windmill.
Yep. Ah, the old hand pump. When I was a kid, we didn't have hand pumps, but if we'd go out to some place, there was one, like a picnic or something. That was a lot of fun, you know, getting those things going and pumping that water.
I remember the hand pump at Bethel Cemetery. They had one out there for many years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
But it was a lot of fun, but I suppose if I had to do that several times a day, every time I needed water, probably the fun aspect would have been lost. So, Mary, here we are on this day. It's kind of the middle of November.
November. Yes, it
Middle
is.
of November, and big excitement coming up now that the election is over. Will be hunting season.
Will be hunting season,
Yep.
and then hopefully everyone will get a little bit of remote turkey
Yeah, yeah.
because we now have to stay a little bit safer to home.
Yeah, it's going to be a little different this year.
Yep, wash our hands a little more, and hopefully everyone can join us again on
The
History Files.